and we're now at the system integration level. There's very little doubt anymore that we're at that point. And I say this, I've been wrong every other time in the past. But this time, I'm really convinced it's true. Machines are all about to become mobile, and they're all about to be intelligent.
The warp drive engine is accelerated computing, and the energy source is AI.
The person that you should believe in this is Mark Rabe.
It's going to be really important for us to scale.
But Mark Rabe is setting up the AI Institute, and
more than $400 million in the new institute, which will be led by Mark Rabe.
His thing now is all the bits exist, and we're now at the system integration level. Technical level, I don't think there's very little doubt anymore that we're at that point. We've gone past it, as it were. And I say this, I've been wrong every other time in the past. As has everyone. Since you've seen the Tomorrow's World footage from the 60s in black and white. Oh, I love it.
In the year 2000, I think I'll probably be the spaceship to the moon dictating two robots, or else I may be, I don't know, in charge of a robot court, judging some robots.
But this time, I'm really convinced it's true.
That does seem pretty scary, though, don't you think?
Well, okay, if we're going straight there, then I would put Terminator to you. But in 1984, Terminator was a proper horror film.
Yes.
Terminator is now a clown. The Terminator, the original Arnold Schwarzenegger, is the light relief in the films. And then you've got the other thing about, is AI going to wipe us all out? I mean, it just goes straight to the heavy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Is AI going to fundamentally change what we are? And then you get to the singularity as a concept.
Singularity generally refers to the idea of general artificial intelligence that is capable of improving itself.
Or is it yet another wave of technology, which is just going to change a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, we're still going to be people? It will change us. I think in the sense that we will no longer be the people that we were, in the sense that we were no longer the people that used to be 98% of the population farmers.
And I am your king.
Didn't know we had a king. I thought we were an autonomous collective.
Humanity has changed, but it hasn't wiped us out. And in fact, you can consider that the first proper contact between humanity and AI was social media. And in many ways, we lost.
Usually shouting about conspiracy theories.
You're putting plastic on your face.
With a sign that says Q sent him.
We know what it looks like. It's not, the end of the world. A massive asteroid might end the world. Climate change might end the world. Nuclear war, that's something you want to worry about. Something worry about nuclear war, and then the AI steal the code and they get in and they hack, and that's again science fiction.
Oh, well, I'm decrypting nuclear codes, and you don't want me to.
But so much of science fiction at the moment is becoming a serious question. It's brutally fast, the changes which are coming. So I know it's not going to wipe us out. It's not going to break goo or any of these other scenarios, but society is going to change really rapidly. And historically, we've not handled that very well, and a lot of people have ended up getting hurt.
Please, sir, I won't see you.
What? Ask for more?
Do you see in the same way that, and we've kind of been incorporating sort of low-level AI into automation controllers for manufacturing for a good few years now. Are we really just at the very start of what that can do, and is that going to really change manufacturing?
Oh, okay. Yes, absolutely. We're not going to stop using heavy machinery because it's obviously appropriate for certain things. That long-term trend that more and more machines are tended by less and less people.
Yeah,
I don't see any reason why that wouldn't accelerate like all the other things are going to accelerate with AI.
The facility was designed, built, and is operated mechanically. No significant human presence from inception to production.
but robots building robots.
Authorization code, please.
Well, that's just stupid.
That's also what you see in the later Terminator films. But when they go back, there are no people building the robots. So if you give the machine complete control over your society and you give it the means to make itself a body which is stronger than yours, then yeah, you're probably going to end up in trouble.
I'll be back.
It just feels like you're talking about science fiction. And that's why I keep using this term future shock whenever I talk to Karen, because whenever I seriously think about what's about to become possible, it just seems completely nuts. But if you can really distribute skills and capability and dexterity, all the things you can do in the internet, in the digital world, are about to have mirrors in the real world.
Yeah,
that's what happened in The Matrix 4. The difference between The Matrix 4 and the previous films was that in that film, the Matrix came back out into the real world.
A strawberry?
Using digital code from The Matrix, we retro-convert it into DNA sequences.
And they grow here.
It's not easy augmenting the genome to photosynthesize biosky, but
we're getting there.
Go ahead, try it.
That's the concept they were trying to introduce us to. And given how well the film did, people were not ready for that.
No.
And what's wrapped up with that is that you're not going to have a choice, right? Pretty soon there may be places you go and your concierge will be a robot, which will talk to you. And if you want advice on which tourist attractions you want to go and see, there'll be a very human-looking like machine in the atrium which will answer those questions 24/7 with fantastic knowledge.
You look like a whiskey man. Okay. Oh, you're a robot. Android, technically.
I prefer the term artificial person myself.
And of course, you can always talk to whoever you want, but you can go and meet a physical representative of that thing.
Yeah.
And that changes what's possible in very hard to predict ways. But I think that's 100% we're getting there pretty soon.
Yes.
I mean, people are shipping products. So you're going to encounter them.
Yeah.
And once the first few start making a bunch of money, then...
What? Money makes the world go round, the world go round, the world go round.
What's so weird about this, as well, is that so much of it is open.
In a stunning move, Meta released its AI software, called Llama, as open source.
The fastest growing app in history, which could have been the most valuable product therefore in history, is freely available to anyone that's got the skills.
Hey Digit, clean up this mess.
At this point, Digit makes a prompt to an LLM that solves for what it can do to satisfy this voice command, given its physical intelligence around how it can interact with the world. The prompt is specially constructed so that Digit can interpret the response of the LLM as a set of actions it can take in the world. The command is interpreted to mean that Digit should pick up the trash on the floor and put it in the bins.
The eureka moment was when it took bubble wrap and put it in the normal bin. And they thought, made a mistake, looked it up, can't recycle bubble wrap in that part of the world. And at that point, the machine was the smartest thing in the room.
This interpretation is not directly encoded in any part of the prompt or software. Digit's LLM generates this from its own semantic interpretations of a mess, trash, bins, and clean. Once this response is decoded, Digit begins performing the actions it has determined will satisfy the command.
That was a seriously difficult problem 2 weeks ago. I've seen 2 other people doing it, and I'm talking to my people about how we're going to do it, because there's no moats. You want access to it? You want access to the most powerful, well, it's like the internet, right? You want access to the sum of human knowledge? Get a smartphone.
Yeah. You think people are more accepting now of a kind of a humanoid type robot in that sort of interface activity?
Yeah, absolutely, without doubt. If it moves in a certain way, the brain will say that is an organic system, because only organic systems move like that. And so people are fascinated by it.
Holy crap. I mean, I've seen this before, but it's still amazing. You know?
Oh my god!
And is it using the upper limbs to balance dynamically? I mean, that to me is a real thing. You can see it doing that.
Yeah, so even if I do like dancing motions, you see.
It point to what has to happen next. And the leading people in this, I would say, are Enchanted Tools, which is a Paris-based startup. As long as when you first see it, you think, oh, okay, I know that's a robot, and I like how it looks.
Yeah,
and it's just a non-issue. And if you look at Ameca, by Engineered Arts, they do the very nice sidestep of making the skin a non-human color. The facial expressions, at times, it's still a little bit odd, but on the whole, it doesn't do anything which is which makes you feel that it's like seriously ill. At that time, when it boots up, actually does this whole weird sequence where it checks everything, and then it really looks like something having a spasm.
Looks like reset twice.
But you know what it is. So if you know what it is, that goes away. The market will tell us.
It will. It will. Okay, so let's talk about your own project then.
Thank you very much.
And if we go back to when it started, what you were hoping to achieve, and why?
We're servicing machines. Appliance is something that you service. Every day we empty the dishwasher. Every day we empty the washing machine. And yes, that is fantastically better than spending a whole day cutting firewood and boiling a fire and washing your own clothes.
You plunge and scrub. Plunge and scrub.
That's right. But still, that has become the new chore. And the difference for me is that the robotic systems, from the user's point of view, it does the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's what's about to happen.
So I've seen the video of the humanoid robot, or the various parts of it, that seem to be built around your work.
Because where it began was with a guy, Professor Owen Holland, and he got funding to investigate artificial consciousness 20 years ago, back when it was really academic suicide in many ways. But he was interested, and that's what he did, and he's still going. So I was asked to build this machine that was like a person. As people say when they start talking about AGI, the fact we're having this conversation seriously is just bananas. I mean, this is absolutely wasn't meant to happen yet, but we really have to take this seriously. And that's why I think you're seeing this overreaction, because it was still a comfortable distance in the future, and it's just come right up and said, "Hello,
hello." It's not just about building a better robot, but it's also kind of the way I took it was you're kind of democratizing the technology, if you like.
Absolutely, yes, very, very important, fundamental to the whole effort from my side.
Yeah.
And that actually comes from Professor Owen Holland. I mean, that was always a thing. We've been talking about democratizing robots, but it became democratizing AI is happening first, which I guess was predictable in a way.
Yeah.
But democratizing robots was always the idea. You can open source everything. You still need lots of people coming together to make sense of it.
Yeah.
And my manufacturing dream is that what you'll be able to do is get a bunch of people together, some physically, some remotely, in a place, and build a factory which only then needs very low numbers of people to run it, because you've automated all the process, and it starts producing robots which are very nicely tailored to that area. That's my vision of the future. There's going to be lots of people doing robots, and we're all going to use them to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
And Rodney Brooks laughed his arse off me when I told him.
We're really working in logistics and manufacturing.
What about hardware? What are the challenges in the hardware?
Using Boston Dynamics again, because they are just so far ahead in terms of hardware. I mean, they are just the people. Again, Mark Rober said a couple of years before Spot came out, it's impossible to build a dynamic robot without hydraulic systems. Spot's 100% electric.
Hallelujah, girls hit you, hallelujah, girls hit you, hallelujah, cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to you, cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to you, cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to you, Saturday night and we in the spot, don't believe me, just watch, come on.
The last fair I went to, there were a lot of little, what you could consider copy, cheap, knockoff robot dogs, and some of them were doing somersaults and backflips and stuff.
That's great.
From a power point of view, no, I think we're there. I don't think there's any problem. If you want a warehouse packing robot, you get one which looks like, what's it called? Fetch, I think it is, but again, Boston Dynamics. They are commercializing that. 1 trillion boxes a year are moved by hand. And apparently it's not very pleasant work because it's dirty and it's hot in summer and it's cold in winter and it kills you early. So we replace 1 trillion boxes being moved by hand by being moved by robot. You've got to hope that's a good thing in the end.
One of the things you mentioned earlier as an example of what these things could do was where you'd have a robot that could hang out your washing.
Yes.
And I can see that the hardware is, we're pretty close to being able to do that. I can see the intelligence is there. And what about cost though? How long before that is affordable for a mass market? Is that ever something that will be affordable for a mass market?
I think if you're going to start using words like ever, then you're back to this comfortable horizon.
Yeah.
So yes, 100% in 30, 40, 50, 60 years, like tomorrow's world, we will have these things. If you're trying to produce a consumer grade robot, that's a real big ask. 99.999% of the time it will do this thing correctly and it won't accidentally run over your cat or whatever. The image I like is that at the beginning of the car industry, it was a legal requirement that all cars be preceded by a person carrying a red flag. And that's the place we're at in terms of the technology which is out there. And I also always think of what Chris Anderson said about the drone revolution, if you will. When I was an undergrad, drones were top-end, secret, DARPA, military-funded project. And now they're given away free if you buy 100 euros of printing supplies from my local print supplier. And according to Chris Anderson, the reason that happened is that all the people in the community doing their day jobs were engineers at top-end companies. And what they always dreamt of doing was making really cool flying machines.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that there's a very large number of people out there that have always dreamed of having their own robot. And that's the point. If anything, the problem with all of this is there's so much to know and it's expanding so rapidly that it is now just completely impossible to have an overview of what's going on. So, I'm sure if you speak to someone else than I in the field, they will have a completely different perspective to my particular brand of madness. But those are all the kind of concerns that come to play. So no, I don't. It's a question of scaling. It's a question of working out how people are comfortable to pay for a reasonable service. Like I said, every time I think I've calmed down, I'll talk to someone else and I'll just think, I cannot believe this is all happening, but I'm pretty damn sure it is.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Okay. Well, thank you very much. That was really interesting.
Thank you. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.